Hello everybody, and welcome back to Let's Play Kaiserreich, Legacy of the Weltkrieg, for Darkest Hour. And dear God, it has been forever since I've been able to play this game. I've literally been battling endless numbers of technical difficulties to get it working, but it finally is, after I downloaded about 9 billion different files. So we're getting back into this Let's Play, but I had to start a brand new save game because, one, I lost all my data due to my hard drive bullshit, which is in an update video from a few months ago. I lost all my data. And, well, that's actually the only reason I lost all my data, because of the hard drive thing. But fortunately, I've got it back into everything. And I had to re-download Kaiserreich about 4 or 5 different times to get it working, as well as downloading some optional files from all over the fucking internet. So there's that. And this is a brand new save game, so I've gone ahead and done the slightly less interesting opening stuff from last time off camera. Like, I've gotten rid of the destroyer and 2 submarines that you're building at the beginning for whatever reason, and set up our industry options so they're reasonable. So we're basically focusing everything into reinforcements except what we have to have in consumer goods and supplies. And I'm currently strategically redeploying a bunch of my divisions onto the border with the Dongban Union and the Alash Autonomy. And you should know this is version 1.8 of Kaiserreich, whereas the last game I started was with 1.7. So things may be a little different, and this is one thing I can spot right off the bat. The Alash Autonomy, which was formerly just the Alash Orda in previous versions, they are a puppet of Russia, i.e. us. And also, they may be our puppet, but this is not going to remain that way, because I have done a few test games just to make sure it's gonna work out okay, and basically, once the president of Russia, Kerensky I think was the name, once he gets assassinated, what tends to happen is the Alash Autonomy will declare independence from Russia, and we will be able to do nothing about it. So they're going to go independent. Dongban Union is already independent, but the government path I plan to go down will have them join us as a puppet. But also, before we get into anything else, I need to start setting up my intelligence, which I forgot to do off camera. So, first of all, I'm going to enable auto-spying, just because dealing manually with the actual spy networks in this game I just find to be a bit of a pain, so I'd like to avoid that. And for that reason, I am going to remove the spying system from our control. And also, you'll notice that my mouse cursor is flickering a bunch. I don't know why that is. It's something that just seems to happen if I record above 1024 by 768. Which I don't want to do, because recording above that, the game looks ugly as shit. So if you have any potential solutions, do let me know. Because otherwise it's staying like this, and damn the appearance to hell. And Alash Autonomy is going to go on our intelligence list as well, since they'll be declaring independence, and I want to be able to deal with them, let's just say. Next, Transamur. You can go on my list. Before I forget about it, Japan. Because they have a tendency to screw me over sometimes. Because they can be a little bit random since this is Kaiserreich. Japan can, on occasions, get very, very uppity with Russia and actually go to war. And I've played as Japan before, and they do actually have an event chain where the country right here, Transamur, which is actually their puppet, can, if Russia gets unstable enough, or just as they feel like it, essentially annex the whole of Siberia. So that can be a little annoying, and I want to watch out for that. Let's see. Georgia, Azerbaijan, and Armenia will also get a place on my list, because they're also former Russian states that I want to deal with. And I think I may have just bumped the microphone, so sorry about that. And hello, Armenia. Let's see here. Azerbaijan. And I'm also going to put the Ottoman Empire on the list because they do control the Dardanelles down here, which is kind of important for us as Russia, since we are eventually going to want to get the Ukraine back, probably by conquering them, since I doubt they'll be nice enough to just submit and cease to be independent if we ask politely. But we're going to want to get that back, and we may or may not decide to station a fleet there, and if we want to actually make use of any fleet there, we'll have to control the Dardanelles. Which means taking Constantinople from them and either annexing the Ottomans and stationing a shitload of troops there to keep unrest down, or possibly just making a bunch of puppets down in the region, which I'll probably go the puppet route if I ever get to that. And this is all super, super long-term thinking, by the way. Next, the German Empire. Or, as I like to call them, the Eastern European phallus. Because they are basically, as far as Russia is concerned, a giant fucking penis. Sitting there waggling at us. Yeah. That statement right there should tell you all you need to know about the Russian-German relationship in Kaiserreich. For one, they beat us in World War I, and we're not happy about that. For another, the Baltics and Ukraine are under their protection, which means we can't just invade them and take them back when we have the troops and stuff. For another, all of this fucking territory we lost during the Russian Civil War, Finland, Central Asia, and such, is because of fucking Germany demanding we give up a bunch of our shit. So, I make no bones about the fact that one of my campaign objectives in this game is going to be to destroy Germany, to have them no longer exist in the game as a sovereign nation, or at the absolute minimum, have them exist only as a bunch of random colonies spread around in Africa and Asia. They can have Africa and Asia, but I am kicking Germany's ass out of Europe or dying trying. That is the major thing. going on. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, Germany has to go. No two ways about it. And we are going to get espionage going in all these Eastern European states because we want them back. Lithuania next. Blah-de-blah-de-blah. We don't really care about Lithuania because they're irrelevant. They're ours by right, though, so we want them back. And the Ukraine, they're a big deal because Ukraine has a lot of industrial capacity, and that used to be ours, and we want it back. And more to the point, the king of Ukraine is a fucking German. And as far as I'm concerned in this playthrough, all Germans must die. I don't feel that way in real life, but the Russians are very anti-German at this point, so we want to destroy Germany in every way, shape, or form possible. Not quite done setting up my intelligence yet, though. There's a few other places we have to get it going on. Like over here in communist Western Europe. And we are going to have to make sure we get spies in the Commune of France, the Socialist Republic of Italy, basically southern Italy, as well. And god damn it, I misclicked there. As well as that, we want the Union of Britain on our spy list. And before I forget, we have to have Finland on our list because Finland has been Russian territory since like the late 1600s, early 1700s. So as far as we're concerned, we consider that territory ours by right. We're going to take it back. This is not up for discussion, is basically how we feel about that, if you were wondering. Now, let's look around at the other people and see who else needs to go on our list. Turkestan, obviously. That territory is also ours by right. We're going to put the United States on our list just because it can be a bit of a pain to actually get spies in America. And I like to get them in there early because of that. And also, there's some events that are going to take place in the US in Kaiserreich. And depending on how they go, it can either make things very easy or very hard for us. And I want to keep an eye on them, just so we know which way things are swinging and can possibly plan accordingly. Now, there's still a couple more people that need to go on our intelligence list. Mongolia, for one, because, one, they've taken some territory off of us, and two, and this relates into one, the territory they've taken off of us includes part of the Trans-Siberian Railroad, which we need because them having that kind of cripples our transportation capacity across Russia, which, as you can see, is a very, very large country. Now, who else did I want to put on this list, if there was anyone? Let's see. The Qing Empire, that was it. Because I've never seen China actually go to war with Russia in any of the games I've played. But they tend to go kind of crazy with their neighbors, and I'd like to keep an eye on them because that will give us the opportunity to influence what they're doing a little bit. Let me see. And I can't actually be bothered with like Canada or anyone. I think we're good for intelligence actually, so we're also strategically redeploying a bunch of people, like I said, down to the Caucasus and Central Asia. So we have people on the borders. Because, and this is me taking advantage of some knowledge I have of the game, there are some events that trigger as Russia in early 1937 or something like that, once your government's established, that basically mean that if you play your cards right, you can get the Dongguban Union under you as a puppet without a fight. And there's another event that tends to happen, which can either lead to the Alash Order becoming your puppet or you going to war with them. It really depends. Well, becoming your puppet again, they're already our puppet right now. And with countries like that that hold our rightful territory, if they become my puppet, I eventually will get the option to annex them. Which, if they go from puppet to annexed, that's very good, because it means I don't have to fight them. And now, we are going to begin the game. And get a whole bunch of credits and stuff. 1936, a dark time for Russia. I am actually going to read all the events, by the way, just because there's a lot of them, and for Kaiserreich, I feel like it's fairly important. At least the ones like this. Just the random pop-ups that are some other country got an event, I will probably not read. It is a dark time for Kerensky's Russia. The recent decision of the German Empire to push forward payment of reparations agreed upon in the Brest-Litovsk peace treaty forced Russia to enact a drastically reduced budget for an armed forces and existing social system. Such financial austerity, even if needed, combined with stagnation of the economy, has brought the ire of the nation and pushed the country to the verge of general unrest. With the government barely controlling the streets of Moscow and St. Petersburg, let alone the rest of the country, things are looking bad for Russia. However, unseen forces are waiting in the wings ready to make their move. Trigger the Russian Constitution of 1918 event. Long live Russia, one and indivisible. The Russian Constitution of 1918. Signed in 1918, roughly a year after the fall of Nikolai II, who, by the way, for those of you who don't know, Nikolai II was the last Russian Tsar in actual real life. He was Tsar of the Russian Empire from the late 19th century until the year 1918, when the February Revolution led to the overthrow of the Romanov dynasty and replaced the Russian Empire with the Russian Republic. Then, of course, you had the October Revolution, which caused Russia to become the Soviet Union and led to a civil war between the Soviets and it was between the Reds and the Whites. The Reds were the communists, and the Whites were basically everybody else. And in that way, it was actually a whole lot like the Spanish Civil War, where you had Franco's fascists versus the government, which the government was basically everyone who wasn't supporting Franco. So, which, looking back on it, in both cases, that's probably why those groups lost, because they were just everyone else, and didn't have a combined goal. Like with the Russian whites, they were quite literally all over the place. There were people in there who wanted to restore the monarchy, those who wanted to establish a fascist dictatorship in Russia. No, I'm not joking, by the way. And some people who just wanted to kill a lot of communists. So that was an interesting period of history, and I may discuss history a little bit during this Let's Play, but it won't be very major because I'm not actually that familiar with mid-20th century Russian history. I know some very minor details, but not a whole lot. The Russian Constitution of 1918. Signed in 1918, roughly a year after the fall of Nikolai II, the Russian Constitution defines the country's political institutions. The legislative branch consists of the State Duma, elected every 5 years, and the Senate, consisting of senior nobles, statesmen, scholars, etc. The executive branch is divided into the office of President, elected every 6 years by the Senate, and the Council of Ministers. The Constitution guarantees freedom and stability, at least according to the pop-up box, but we will see. I have my doubts that that Constitution is going to cause freedom and stability, and you'll see why. And blah blah blah, Delhi gets events, yada yada yada. Credits, I don't care about you. Austerity measures. The German decision during the Berlin Conference in November 1935 to force us to repay the remaining part of the war indemnities imposed upon us by the Central Powers at Brest-Litovsk 1 year earlier than planned has put the government in a delicate position. The current budget for 1936 is already stretched to a bare minimum, and as a result, the cabinet sees no other alternative than imposing harsh austerity measures if we are to pay the accursed Teutonics. The cuts in government spending will be most harshly felt in the social services sector and in the many homes of invalided war veterans, depending on the state's support. Our citizens are already disgruntled and dissatisfied with the incumbent coalition of cadets, rightist social revolutionaries, united under the even more unpopular presidency of Alexander Kerensky, and it is feared that these austerity measures will bring still more extreme political groupings onto the political scene. We must increase austerity measures. National dissent is changed by plus 12%, money plus 700, industrial efficiency total minus 3%. Fucking Germans, burn in hell! God damn it, I hate Germany. Like, we just started and we already have fucking 20% dissent. I hate Germany, and I want them to die in a lot of pain. Now we are going to do this. But god damn it, Germany. God fucking damn it. And so yeah, I'm just gonna go over the game mechanics as they become relevant in this, I think. So we have energy, metal, rare materials, and oil. These are basically the resources. You use them to build and maintain units in your military, basically. And supplies are basically like ammo, food, and extra uniforms and clothing, and spare guns and that sort of thing. And you need supplies to keep your army advancing, because if you run too low on supplies, like, say I was attacking Ukraine, and I've done this a lot because that's what you do as Russia, you attack Ukraine. And I ran out of supplies, which meant my advance stalled. My units were being easily defeated in battle. They were just crushed every time they encountered any major unit opposition from the enemy, and I had to have a ridiculous numerical advantage to be able to win. And that's what happened. It's basically like what happened to the Germans in Russia. Their advance stalled because they weren't very well supplied and they couldn't keep on fighting. You'll have a similar situation to that if you run low on supplies. You also have money, which is, just basically cash, which you use for a bunch of different things, and I don't exactly remember the specifics because it's been a while since I played Darkest Hour. Then manpower, which is used for reinforcing your divisions and keeping them all at full strength, and mine is red right now because I am currently reinforcing all my divisions, because the Russian army starts with none of your divisions at full strength, and that tends to be very bad in general. Dissent actually. Dissent is basically a measure of your instability in your country, how likely partisans and uprisings are to occur within your borders. And if you already have areas in your country that aren't currently core territories, which have a decent amount of unrest due to the fact that you're occupying territory, essentially. It's not actually a core part of your nation. So if you have that going on and you have unrest, your unrest will magnify the amount of potential uprisings you'll get in those occupied regions, for another thing. Next, we have transport capacity that I have it's in a very bad spot right now, because my transport capacity is over its limit since I'm moving a shitload of troops from all across everywhere to a bunch of important borders. And that's a bit of a problem right now. And finally, we have our industrial capacity, which is it's the capacity of your factories to produce the goods and essentially the things you need to be able to function as a country, and including in both war and peace, like consumer goods and guns and ammo and everything. That's the production capacity of everything. And with this, we get a slight hit to it because we are at peace, therefore we can't mobilize all of our industry. Countries like France, the Socialist Republic of Italy, and Mexico, because they're also communists for some reason, they can use all of their industry at peace because they are communist and the state controls the entire industry, basically, is what's going on there. In any case, that's everything I need to cover for now, so we are going to get it going. And a bunch of national decisions we can now make, which none of them are actually relevant at the moment, and just some more credits, which I'm ignoring, if they're not actually relevant. Okay, and this is a major event.